You just tried to say something in Spanish, and the person looked at you like you'd grown a second head. Here's the problem. You learned the words, but nobody told you how Spanish actually works when real people speak it. Let's fix that right now. First thing you need to know, Spanish is way more forgiving than you think. English speakers panic because we're used to strict word order. Subject, verb, object. Always. But Spanish, it's flexible in ways that'll surprise you. Take a simple sentence. I eat pizza. Yo como pizza. Straightforward, right? But here's what makes Spanish interesting. You can drop the yo entirely. Como pizza works perfectly because the verb form already tells you who's doing the action. The verb como can only mean I eat. So why say I twice? This changes everything about how you build sentences. English trained you to always include the subject. Spanish doesn't need that crutch. Now, pronunciation. You've probably heard Spanish sounds smoother than English. There's a reason for that. Spanish has 5 vowel sounds. Just 5. English has around 15, depending on your accent. That's actually good news for you. Every A sounds like the A in father. Every E sounds like the E in bet. Every I sounds like the E in meat. Every O sounds like the O in note. Every U sounds like the OU in boot. Learn those 5 sounds, and you've unlocked thousands of words. But here's where people mess up. They try to sound perfect immediately. They'll practice rolling their R's for hours before attempting a conversation. Want to know a secret? Most Spanish speakers don't even roll their R's in every word. It's context dependent, and plenty of native speakers have trouble with it too. What matters more? The vowels. Get those right, and people will understand you, even if your R's sound like you're gargling. Let's talk about something nobody explains properly. Gender. Every Spanish noun is either masculine or feminine. El libro, the book, is masculine. La mesa, the table, is feminine. Why? Nobody knows. There's no logic here. A table isn't female. A book isn't male. The language just decided this centuries ago, and everyone went along with it. You're wondering if there's a pattern. Sometimes. Words ending in O are usually masculine. Words ending in A are usually feminine. But then you've got el día, the day, which ends in A but takes L, and la mano, the hand, which ends in O but takes la. Your brain wants rules. Spanish has guidelines at best. The fastest way forward isn't memorizing exceptions. It's exposure. When you learn a new noun, learn it with its article. Not casa, but la casa. Not perro, but el perro. Package them together from the start. Here's something that'll save you months of confusion. Spanish uses 2 verbs for to be, ser and estar. Both mean the exact same thing in English, but they're completely different in Spanish. Ser describes permanent characteristics. Estar describes temporary states or locations. Soy alto means I am tall. That's permanent, part of who you are. Estoy cansado means I am tired. That's temporary. You'll feel different tomorrow. This distinction doesn't exist in English, which is why it trips people up. But once you understand the logic, it becomes your advantage. Spanish forces you to think about whether something is permanent or temporary. That's not harder. It's just different. And that difference? It's about to make learning verbs way more interesting than you expected. Verbs in Spanish work on a pattern system that'll either frustrate you or fascinate you. There's no middle ground. Take hablar, to speak. Remove the AR ending, and you're left with the stem habl. Now add endings based on who's doing the action. Hablo, I speak. Hablas, you speak. Habla, he or she speaks. The stem stays the same. The ending changes. Every AR verb in Spanish follows this exact pattern. Thousands of verbs, one system. But Spanish wouldn't be Spanish without throwing you a curveball. Some verbs change their stem when you conjugate them. These are called stem-changing verbs, and they're everywhere. Querer means to want. Yo quiero, I want. But the E in the stem becomes I-E. Nobody warned you about this. Tú quieres, you want. Same change. Él quiere, he wants. Same change again. Then suddenly, nosotros queremos, we want. The stem goes back to normal. Why? Because Spanish decided the nosotros and vosotros forms don't change stems. That's just how it is. You're probably thinking this sounds impossible to remember. Here's the thing. You don't memorize it. You absorb it. Listen to enough Spanish, and quiero will sound right, while quiero sounds wrong. Your brain will do the work without conscious effort. That's not motivation talk. That's how language acquisition actually functions. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Past tenses. Spanish has two of them, the preterite and the imperfect. English has one simple past. I walked. Done. Spanish makes you choose. Did you walk once? A completed action. Preterite. Caminé. Did you used to walk regularly? An ongoing past action. Imperfect. Caminaba. The action determines the tense. This seems like extra work until you realize what it gives you. Spanish can express nuances in a single word that English needs entire phrases to convey. Hablaba doesn't just mean I spoke. It means I was speaking. I used to speak. I would speak habitually. 3 English phrases. 1 Spanish word. Here's what nobody tells beginners. You don't need to master every tense immediately. Native speakers use maybe 4 or 5 tenses in daily conversation. The present, the preterite, the imperfect, the future, and the present perfect. That's it. All those other tenses you see in textbooks, used occasionally, mostly in writing, focus on what people actually say. The fastest learners do something counterintuitive. They don't study grammar rules for hours. They learn one rule, then immediately find 10 examples of it in real content. Listen to a song, watch a show, read a simple article, see the rule working in context. Your brain needs evidence that this pattern exists in the wild, not just on a textbook page. Spanish gives you something English can't: clarity about who's doing what, when it happened, and whether it's permanent or temporary. Every verb form carries information. Nothing is ambiguous. That's not complexity. That's precision. And precision is exactly what makes Spanish worth learning. You've got the foundation now. 5 vowel sounds, flexible word order, 2 verbs for being, and a verb system that actually makes sense once you stop fighting it. Stop waiting until you're perfect. Start speaking now, mistakes included. That's how you go from studying Spanish to actually using it.